Morning.
My beloved friends in spirit, it's so joyful to be with you guys again today. 2 Sundays in a row. I'm excited. So let's begin today by taking a deep breath. And let's center ourselves in that heart space and welcome the truth of this moment. You know, in Unity we talk about truth a lot, that capital T truth. And so, you know, I invite you, we did our affirmation a few minutes ago, but I invite you to let's do that one more time. And I'm going to just say it and you can repeat it back. I turn the boulders along my path into pebbles to cushion my journey.
I turn the boulders along my path into pebbles to cushion my journey.
You know, isn't it nice to think that we have some cushions? Doesn't that feel good? But doesn't that feel a little bit different to think about things, obstacles that come up, as more of something that can support us or prepare us or cushion our journey than to think about it as something that stops, you know? So often we think of obstacles as hard or painful or immovable. But this affirmation is rooted in their unity way of seeing life. It tells us that there's a higher truth, that capital T truth, that which appears to block our path in truth may become the very thing that softens it for us. You know, in our spiritual tradition, we recognize that life is not about avoiding obstacles, but transforming them. And Unity teachings encourage us to view every challenge not as a punishment or a deterrent, but as an opportunity for growth, spiritual awareness, and the divine unfolding. And so the affirmation, I turn the boulders along my path into pebbles to cushion my journey, it embodies this. It's a very empowering idea for us. You know, we acknowledge that our thoughts have created power. We talked about that last month, about how we're co-creators. And we also know that when we're faced with difficulty, our spiritual practice invites us to reframe that situation, to think about it differently, to see it differently. And so what we might ask, what is this moment asking of me? And how can this obstacle be used for good? You know, instead of getting caught up in so much of that energy that's flying around the globe right now, you know, rather than getting caught up in the idea that it's something that is happening to us. That's not how we teach, is it? It's not about things happening to us. It's about things happening for us and happening as part of our own creation. You know, so instead of all of that, it's how can this be used for good? And instead of perceiving the boulder as something that blocks our path, we affirm that it can be broken down and repurposed and transformed into the very substance that supports our next steps. Now, this shift in perspective aligns is right there with Unity principles and teachings about spiritual evolution and the inherent process and presence of divine order. When we affirm that our spiritual authority, we are accessing that strength, one of those 12 powers, we're accessing that strength, and we're harmonizing that with clarity as we move through all of our difficulties and things that we're challenged with in life with grace. And so we don't deny the presence of a challenge, but we transmute it, we change it, we shift it into a different perspective. And when we shift into a different perspective, we're actually shifting the energy that we're dealing with. And so let's be honest. You know, life throws things at us. It may throw illnesses or financial hardship, broken relationships, uncertainty. You know, right now I'm living in the question. Yes, right now I'm back in Georgia, and I'll be here for probably about another month, and then I'll be heading to Canada for that permanent trip. And so many things are uncertain right now. And what I recognized many years ago, that living in that point of uncertainty is probably the most uncomfortable for me. And so what happens? I gain opportunities to become more comfortable and not see them, and not see being in the question as something that is harmful or whatever, but to shift how I see it. When I'm living in the question, I'm living totally in that field of infinite potential. Anything is possible when I'm in the question. Because when we're not living in that point of unknown or that point of question, we get attached to what's going on around us. And so, just like what I said a minute ago, what unity teaches is that life is not happening to us, but it's happening through us and as us. And so being in the question, it's an excellent opportunity for me to be my greatest manifester, stepping into my co-creative abilities. And so obstacles are not punishments. Obstacles are invitations. And so they're invitations to look deeper, to grow, to release. And, we do the release. We do the service the first of the year. I think I've shared with you, I have one ministry I work with that they do a burning bowl once a month. Because they're really striving to let go of anything that doesn't serve them. And so what we do then is we stand in faith rather than fear. So the spiritual path doesn't promise a life free of struggle, but it does promise transformation if we're willing, and that's the key word, if we're willing to see with spiritual eyes. And so when we come upon something that seems like it's impassable, insurmountable, then we have to put on our spiritual eyes and go, okay, how can this be used? How is this being presented in a way that it's going to support me? It's going to support my next step. It's going to support my spiritual unfolding. And so we just have to see differently. Some of you will be able to relate to this, but there's a story about a man walking through the Rocky Mountain Trail. And he stumbles and is frustrated at every turn. Why is this path so hard, he asks. Because there were rocks and things along the way. Well, that's, in the Rocky Mountains, don't you expect there to be rocks along the way? I mean, that just makes sense to me. Well, there was another traveler, and she was passing through the same way, and she noticed those same rocks, but instead of tripping over them, she used them to steady her footing. It was the same path, but they had different perspectives. They had different visions of what they were going through. And our teachings remind us that our perceptions determine our experience. As Charles Fillmore, our co-founder and teacher, said, we do not change things by fighting the existing reality, but we change them by changing our thoughts about reality. We're so powerful. Our thoughts do so much. Our thoughts seem to manage what goes on between these things called ears. So what if that diagnosis is a doorway for deeper self-care? What if that job loss is making space for purpose? What if that delay in divine timing? What is that? What if it's better preparing you and the situation? What if the boulders that are there are not to block us, but to bless us? Can you see how that could shift things and change things in your life? And so let's return to that affirmation. I turn the boulders along my path into pebbles to cushion my journey. That's not wishful thinking. It's spiritual empowerment. Did you hear that? It's spiritual empowerment. And the words we speak carry vibration. They carry frequencies. And they shape our reality. And so in Unity, we practice affirmative prayer. We've had classes on that. We make positive declarations, and not to wish away problems, but to align ourselves with truth. I've said many times that prayer isn't about anything but putting us. Prayer is a preparation of us to get us in alignment with that higher consciousness. And when we declare that we turn boulders into pebbles, we're doing several powerful things. We reclaim our authority. We remember that spirit within us is greater than anything in the outer world. We invite transformation, not destruction of the challenge, but evolution through it. We soften our hearts, and that's allowing compassion and grace to ease, to cushion us as we grow. So we reclaim our authority, we invite transformation, and we soften our hearts. And you see, the pebbles aren't just tiny rocks. They're the wisdom we gain, the faith we build, the peace we find, and the love we deepen, all because of what we walked through. There are so many things, and I know that each and every one of you can, if you sit and pause and go within and think about this for a few moments, and even feel into it. Everything that you've gone through in your life, the good times, the bad times, what we deemed as bad times in the moment, the challenges, have all been part of the. So, I just got a little thing that told me my internet is unstable. Are we doing okay there?
We lost you for a second.
Okay. All right. Did you hear the thing about the pebbles being tiny rocks and
Yes.
their wisdom?
Yes.
All that stuff? Okay. What I was talking to about was that each and every one of us, every experience we've ever had, no matter how we've labeled it, has been part of the ingredients to make us who we are today. To help us be where we are in our spiritual journey, to help us to be the people that we are. And so when we can begin to see those obstacles, the boulders or the wait a minutes or whatever, as gifts, we have a different opportunity and we can grow. And so, how do we live this truth? How do we actually turn boulders into pebbles? Well, there's a couple of simple practices. Pause and presence. When you face a challenge, take a breath. Ask, what is this here to teach me? What is my lesson? What is my growth that can happen through this? So pause and be present. Another thing is speak the affirmation. Say it out loud, especially when you're in the middle of a trial. I turn the boulders along my path into pebbles to cushion my journey. Everything that's there is there to support you. It's all a matter of how you see it. It's all a matter of how you perceive it. When we come through the eyes of our spiritual essence, it's such a difference than when we come from our humanness. And the third thing is to give thanks ahead of time. And I've said this many times before, gratitude to me and from what I've studied and what I've known for myself is one of those higher vibrations. It's a higher frequency energy and consciousness. And so when I give thanks, when I'm in a place of gratitude, I'm already shifting the energy to bring myself to a point of a different perception. So give thanks ahead of time, even before you see the outcome. Give thanks as if the transformation has already occurred. Because in the mind of God, it has. It's already done. As we've talked about that, and as we talk about prayer and affirmative prayer and the way that Jesus said pray, pray as if it has already happened. And so, my friends, you're powerful beyond measure. Not because of ego, but because of the divine spark that is you. No boulder is bigger than your spirit. No obstacle is greater than the presence of God expressing as you. So let your path be softened, not by changing the terrain, not by trying to bust those boulders with a hammer, but by transforming your walk. You're not here to be stopped. You're here to rise, to grow, and to bless the ground you walk on. And so I'll speak one more time for you, the affirmation, and I invite you to take it in. I turn the boulders along my path into pebbles to cushion my journey. And so let us go ahead and prepare a time of meditation. I'm going to do a little screen share. And so let's go ahead. And so let us begin with finding a comfortable position. Close your eyes and gently take a deep breath, a slow breath in, and exhale fully, releasing any tension from your body. And again, inhale deeply. Feel your body soften as you exhale. Allow your heart. This moment is yours. This is sacred time. And as we enter this meditation, you're safe, you're supported, and surrounded by divine love. Visualize yourself standing on a path in nature. Perhaps a forest trail or a sunlit mountain path. The air is calm, the wind is gentle, and you feel the presence of spirit all around you. You begin walking peacefully, but up ahead you notice two large boulders. They're scattered along your path. Some are small, others feel overwhelming, and you recognize them. Fear, grief, frustration, doubt. These boulders represent life's challenges. So just take a moment and pause. Acknowledge them without resistance, without judgment. They are simply part of the path. You do not need to remove them. You're here to transform them. Now, in your heart and mind, begin to speak this sacred affirmation and gently to yourself. I turn the boulders along my path into pebbles to cushion my journey. And again, I turn the boulders along my path into pebbles to cushion my journey. And with each repetition, just visualize one of those large boulders gently softening, breaking down, and becoming smaller and smaller until it becomes a bed of soft pebbles beneath your feet. These pebbles do not hurt you, they support you. They cushion your steps. They remind you that what once seemed to hinder you now carries wisdom and patience, strength and grace. Keep breathing, keep affirming. I turn the boulders along my path into pebbles to cushion my journey. Feel the shift happening inside you. This is not denial. It's actually divine alchemy. Now allow yourself to simply rest in the stillness. No effort, just being. Feel the path between your feet now. Soft, steady, sacred. Feel the presence of spirit within you, walking with you. There's nothing you cannot face with God as your source. No obstacle too great for the light within you. You are supported. You are guided. You are transforming every burden into a blessing. And let yourself rest in that truth as we go into a short silence, into the silence. And now gently begin to bring your awareness back to your breath. Inhale slowly. Exhale peacefully. Begin to wiggle your fingers and your toes. Feel yourself returning to the room, grounded and renewed. And as you open your eyes, carry this truth with you. Yes, I turn the boulders along my path into pebbles to cushion my journey. You walk the path of grace. You're never alone, and every step is guided by the divine wisdom within you. And so it is. Amen.